Some stars of a popular auction show took a break at Chioli and never returned to your screens. What really happened to them?
They made a fortune turning abandoned storage lockers into treasure troves, from rare collectibles to jaw-dropping jackpots. But today, the stars of Storage Wars aren't living the high life we once saw on screen. Behind the cameras, lawsuits, health scares, money troubles, and personal tragedies have left their mark. Things aren't looking good for the stars who once ruled reality TV's most addictive auction block. And their stories might shock you. When Storage Wars premiered in 2010, it quickly became a reality TV sensation. Viewers loved watching auctioneers crack open abandoned storage units, never knowing whether they'd find dusty junk or priceless treasure. The larger-than-life personalities, Dave Hester's fiery bidding, Daryl Sheets' bravado, Jared and Brandy's family drama, Barry Weiss's eccentric charm, turned the show into a cultural phenomenon. But fame fades fast, and life after reality TV hasn't been kind to many of its stars. Some faced financial ruin, others battled health crises, and a few simply vanished from the spotlight. Today, we're uncovering the darker side of life after Storage Wars. Dave Hester, from Yoop to lawsuits and health battles. For many fans, Dave Hester was the face of Storage Wars. His loud catchphrase, "Yoop," echoed across every auction, making him both loved and hated by viewers. He was the show's villain, the man who bid aggressively, outspent his rivals, and didn't care who he rubbed the wrong way. But when the cameras stopped rolling, Hester's life took a darker turn. In 2012, he was abruptly fired from the show. Not one to go quietly, Dave sued the producers, alleging that the show was staged and that valuable finds were planted in lockers to boost drama. The lawsuit caused a storm, painting a very different picture of the behind-the-scenes reality. Though the case was eventually settled, Hester's reputation took a hit. Then came his health scare. In 2018, Dave suffered a stroke that nearly claimed his life. Recovery was slow and grueling, forcing him to step away from the auction circuit. Though he has since returned in limited capacity, the man once known for his booming confidence has faced the fragility of life head-on. Daryl Sheets, the gambler's downfall. Daryl Sheets, nicknamed the Gambler, was known for taking huge risks on lockers. His strategy was simple: spend big, hope for bigger. And for a while, it paid off. Fans still remember when he cracked open a storage unit packed with original art by Frank Gutierrez, valued at nearly $300,000. It was one of the biggest finds in Storage Wars history, and cemented Daryl's reputation as the show's high roller. But fortune doesn't always favor the bold. After the spotlight dimmed, Daryl's personal and financial struggles began to mount. Years of inconsistent income from auctions, combined with the fading reality TV fame, left him in a precarious position. The big wins on TV didn't translate into long-term stability, and Daryl found himself hustling harder than ever just to make ends meet. His health also took a serious blow. In 2019, Daryl suffered a major heart attack and underwent emergency surgery. The recovery was long and left him re-evaluating his lifestyle. Once the confident risk-taker who thrived on adrenaline, Daryl was now forced to slow down and face the realities of aging and declining health. Though he has since returned to the auction world, Daryl's life today is a far cry from the gambler persona fans loved on TV. The risks that once brought him fame and fortune have also left him with scars, both financial and physical, that he continues to carry. Jared and Brandy, from power couple to bitter split. For years, Jared Schultz and Brandy Passante were the heart of Storage Wars. Their chemistry, part teamwork, part playful bickering, gave the show a family-friendly charm that balanced out the sharper edges of Dave Hester and Daryl Sheets. Together, they ran their thrift store Now and Then, and seemed to embody the dream of turning storage locker treasures into a real business. But behind the scenes, their relationship was under strain. The pressures of raising 2 children while running a business and filming a hit TV series took a toll. By 2018, the couple quietly split, and by 2020, the separation was official. The fallout wasn't just emotional, it was public. Fans who had rooted for them as a team were shocked to learn the partnership was over. Things got uglier when Jared faced legal trouble. In 2021, he was arrested and charged with misdemeanor domestic violence after an alleged altercation with Brandy. Though he denied the charges, the news cast a long shadow over his public image. Meanwhile, Brandy took on the role of single mother and business owner, working to build her life outside of the reality TV spotlight. She's been candid about the difficulties of moving forward, but she's also embraced new independence, often sharing her journey with fans on social media. Their story highlights one of the cruel realities of reality TV. While the cameras capture the banter and the wins, they don't always show the stress behind the smiles. For Jared and Brandy, the fame that once made them relatable stars also exposed the painful unraveling of their relationship for the world to see. Barry Weiss, from fan favorite to life-threatening crash. Barry Weiss was never in storage wars for the money. Nicknamed the Collector, he was the eccentric wildcard who showed up in flashy cars, dropped witty one-liners, and treated each locker like a quirky adventure. Fans adored him for his humor, style, and the fact that he didn't seem to take the competition too seriously. After leaving the show in 2015, Barry continued to enjoy his cult favorite status. He launched spin-offs like Buried Treasure and Storage Wars. Barry Strikes Back, but his presence on TV slowly faded. For a while, it seemed like Barry had slipped comfortably into retirement, enjoying his car collection and living the good life. Then, in 2019, tragedy struck. Barry was involved in a devastating motorcycle crash in Los Angeles. He suffered serious injuries, including broken bones and chest trauma, and spent months in recovery. Fans feared the worst, wondering if the beloved star would ever bounce back. Though Barry survived, the crash left him physically weakened and forced to step away from the public eye even further. The man once known for his vibrant energy and eccentric adventures now faced the daily reality of healing from life-altering injuries. Barry has since made limited appearances and occasionally reconnects with fans, but his life is no longer defined by the playful character viewers fell in love with. Instead, it's marked by resilience, proof that even the most carefree personalities can be forced to confront tragedy. While the main cast got most of the attention, several other Storage Wars personalities had their own roller coaster journeys once the cameras stopped rolling. For some, the end of reality TV meant fading quietly into obscurity. For others, it meant facing challenges they never could have predicted. Take Renee and Casey Nizoda, for example. Known as Team Bargain Hunters, they were fan favorites for their sharp business sense and light-hearted banter. But the hustle of auctions isn't easy, especially when you're supporting a store in a competitive market. After their time on Storage Wars, Renee and Casey continued buying lockers, but the profits weren't as glamorous as television made them seem. Running a second-hand business is grueling work, unpredictable, labor-intensive, and rarely yielding massive paydays. The couple has worked hard to keep their Bargain Hunters thrift store alive, but it hasn't been without financial stress and long hours. Then there's Ivy Calvin, the king of Palmdale. On TV, Ivy was tough, confident, and seemingly unstoppable. In reality, the grind of maintaining his thrift store has been a constant battle. With the show's fame fading, the foot traffic that once gave his business a boost slowed down. Ivy still hustles, but like many cast members, he discovered that reality TV fame doesn't always translate into long-term financial security. Some of the show's lesser-known bidders, like Mary Padian, the Junkster, took a different path altogether. Mary, beloved for her quirky personality and creative repurposing skills, eventually left the storage auction world behind. She pursued a quieter life, choosing to focus on her own business ventures outside the glare of TV. Though her departure disappointed fans, it also highlighted the emotional toll of life in front of the cameras. Each of these stories adds to a larger picture. Storage wars created stars out of ordinary people. But once the cameras turned off, most were left to face the harsh reality of unstable income, demanding businesses, and fading celebrity status. When Storage Wars premiered in 2010, it was a cultural phenomenon. The mix of mystery, money, and memorable personalities made it one of A&E's biggest hits. But like all reality shows, the shine eventually wore off. By the late 2010s, ratings had slipped, spin-offs failed to capture the same magic, and the original formula began to feel tired. For the stars, this decline had real consequences. During the height of the show, fame brought opportunities, sponsorships, side businesses, speaking events, and a steady paycheck from filming. But as the show lost steam, those benefits evaporated. Many cast members suddenly found themselves without the platform that had made their names. For someone like Hester, who had already burned bridges with lawsuits, the end of the show meant an even steeper fall from grace. For Daryl Sheets, whose health struggles coincided with the series' decline, the absence of steady income made recovery even more difficult. Jared and Brandy, whose relationship had imploded, no longer had the show as a unifying anchor for their brand. Even Weiss, who had largely stepped away before the series wrapped, saw the end of Storage Wars as the closing of an era, one that left him remembered fondly, but also somewhat trapped by the image of the collector. Beyond personal struggles, the decline of Storage Wars also revealed the darker side of reality TV fame. The show had made everyday people into stars almost overnight, but it had never prepared them for what would come afterward. Dwindling attention, shrinking opportunities, and the sobering reality of going back to normal life after years of being household names. Some adapted. Renee and Casey kept their thrift store alive. Ivy Calvin continued grinding in Palmdale. Brandy built her social media presence and explored new ventures. But for others, the transition was brutal. A reminder that reality TV fame is fleeting, and the cameras don't stick around forever. Today, the stars of Storage Wars live very different lives from the ones viewers remember on screen. Some are still hustling in the auction world, while others have stepped back from the chaos altogether. Hester, once the loudest voice in the room, has kept a relatively low profile since his health scare. He still attends auctions, but in a quieter, more subdued way. The stroke reminded him of his own mortality, and though his "yoop" catchphrase will never be forgotten, the aggressive persona has given way to a man more focused on survival than spectacle. Daryl Sheets, the gambler, continues to buy and sell, but his near-fatal heart attack forced him to take life slower. Fans who meet him today often describe him as reflective, a man who remembers the thrill of TV fame, but also knows the price his body has paid. Jared and Brandy, once a beloved team, remain on separate paths. Brandy has leaned into her independence, carving out a space on social media and finding ways to connect with fans outside of reality TV. Jared, however, has struggled to shake off the negative headlines, and his future in the spotlight remains uncertain. Weiss, after surviving his devastating motorcycle accident, has returned occasionally to make surprise appearances on Storage Wars. Fans welcome him back with open arms, but the reality is that Barry now lives a quieter life, more focused on his health and enjoying the luxuries he spent decades collecting. As for Renee and Casey Nzota, They continue to run their Bargain Hunters thrift store in San Diego. Though they've admitted business is far from easy, Ivy Calvin remains loyal to the grind, still running his Palmdale thrift store with his trademark determination. And Mary Padian? She stepped away from auctions entirely, choosing instead to pursue a life away from the cameras. One defined not by reality TV fame, but by her own passions. Their stories are reminders that fame is fleeting, money is unpredictable, and health is never guaranteed. What Storage Wars gave them in visibility, it also took away in privacy, leaving scars that many still carry today. The stars of Storage Wars once turned dusty storage lockers into gold mines. But the real story, behind the flashy finds and dramatic bidding wars, is much more complicated. Fame gave them money, recognition, and a place in reality TV history. But it also brought lawsuits, heartbreak, broken families, health crises, and the harsh reality of fading relevance. For Dave Hester, it meant being remembered for one word, "Yoop," even as his health declined. For Daryl Sheets, it meant risking everything and nearly losing his life. For Jared and Brandy, it meant their love story unraveling in front of millions. For Barry Weiss, it meant a brush with death that forced him to slow down. And for others, Renee, Casey, Ivy, and Mary, it meant the constant grind of business without the cameras to glamorize it. The truth is, reality TV doesn't last forever. The spotlight fades, but the consequences of fame linger. Storage Wars promised treasure, but for many of its stars, the real outcome was a lifetime of scars, both visible and hidden. And that's the tragedy of the show. The thrill of victory was real, but so was the cost. Which Storage Wars star's story surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more untold celebrity and TV stories.